Good afternoon, this is Brent with Lykins Motorsports, and we are continuing on with our 302 tunnel port. Since you saw it last, I wasn't satisfied with how the rocker arm geometry was, so I ordered a new set of push rods and got those on. And Mr. Mark, I'm not going to charge you for those. Those are on me because I didn't, it was my preference, but these rocker arms, a little bit harder to set up than some of the other rocker arms that I use, and I just didn't like the pattern that I was getting. For a steel body rocker arm, you really shouldn't lose any lift from the lobe to the valve, and I was losing about 25 thousandths, which was not kosher to me. So I got that fixed, and we're ready to move on. Also, I just happened to notice that the box of rocker arms I got, I'll show you here in a second, but Comp Cams makes these type of rocker arms for the self-guided or self-aligning application. So instead of this, the side of this being where it was, they hung down on each side of the valve stem, and I guess it's to keep, you know, everything, the movement limited. So there were 3 out of 16 that had those little ears on them, and that didn't sit well with me either. So I called my Comp Cams rep and asked him if he could help me out, and he was completely out of rocker arms. So what I ended up doing was I bought a set of 8 from Summit Racing, and because my other suppliers were out, so I'm tied in with some parts warehouses and everything, and nobody had rocker arms in stock, so which seems to be the trend these days. But I was able to find them at Summit. I had to buy 8, but that's what I did just to make sure that all 16 match. But got our intake manifold cut. I picked it up this morning, and the next plan of action is to get everything wiped down nice and clean, and we're going to glue our gaskets on. Typically what I do is I use silicone on both sides of the gaskets just for added protection. But on this situation where I have to hand make the gaskets, you can't just pay 20 bucks and buy a set of Velcros or whatever for this application. So it's a little bit time consuming, plus the cost of the gasket material. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them down to the heads like I usually do, but I'm going to use a layer of white lithium grease on the top side between the gasket and the intake manifold. And we do that anyway for race motors, you know, engines that you may need to take the intake manifold off and on during the course of tuning or just maintenance or whatever. You don't want to tear the gaskets. So that's what I'll do with this one. And the goal is to finish this old girl up by the end of the video. So we will get started. And we are moving right along, got our water neck on. I'm getting ready to put our bypass hose on. These are usually cut to fit. Need to do some trimming to get those on. I did take a second and pause because my AMK bolt kit came with 4 studs. I don't really know where those go, so I've got a hit out to one of my buddies who is a concourse judge, and he can tell me exactly where the studs are. And as soon as I find that out, I can get everything resituated. Getting ready to drop the distributor in as soon as I get this bypass hose in, and then we'll just slowly make some progress. Next step is to get the distributor in, and before we do that though, I'm going to prime the oil pump. Just stuck my finger in thread sealant. That's always a good time because you can never get it off your hands. I'm going to prime the oil pump one more time since we put different push rods and everything in. And once that is done and verify oil out of every rocker arm, then we'll get our distributor in. I know I told you last time that it was a dual point, or it was a dual point. I misspoke, just out of habit, I guess, but it was a vacuum advance distributor, and we had the Protronix injection, or Protronix conversion installed, and had it recurved, steel gear. And once we get the oil pump primed, we can get that installed. Got a new distributor cap and rotor, and refurbished distributor clamp. So let's get this oil pump primed again. Probably won't show you that since I showed you a couple videos ago, but I'm gonna get that done and then we'll get the distributor in. Okay, so we got oil coming from all of our rockers. I'm gonna go ahead and stab the distributor in now, and we're gonna get, if you want your engine to fire quickly on the first startup, here's my tips to doing it. It's easier to do it with the valve cover off so you can see what's going on. But we're going to roll the engine over until this exhaust valve opens and starts to close. I've got all the plugs in this and spring pressure, so it's a little bit harder to turn over. But this is the intake valve, and we're going to watch it open. And then when it starts to close, we're going to be looking at our pointer. Let me see if I can get you down here. So our pointer is over here. And we're going to be watching for our timing marks coming up. Park it where you would want the total timing to be. So on this motor, probably 34, 36 degrees, something like that. So we're gonna stick it on 36. And now we can drop our distributor in. Hope you all saw that. I know the tripod was kind of wonky. So once that you have your timing parked, we're gonna drop, didn't mean to get grease all over all that, but you know that my gear is greased up. I'm gonna grab our rotor out of the box. And we're gonna point this right about and walk it around. I'm gonna try to get it pointing about like this direction. Like that. And then we'll be able to get our cap on and set our plug wires. So when you get ready to put your cap on, you rotate your distributor, and here's where my rotor is pointing, and you can see the one on that terminal. You want your rotor to line up exactly with that terminal before you lock your distributor down. Okay, our distributor is in. I'm gonna put these ARP carburetor studs in. I do have some carb spacers and I'm gonna use. I ordered 2 4-hole spacers and 2 open spacers. I think this little motor might want some plenum volume, but we don't know until we try. But I'm gonna take it to the dyno with the carb, with a set of spacers already in it. And we're gonna get those in. And I'm getting ready to show you the pair of 600s that we're gonna use. hoping this engine will make at least 25 horsepower. What do you think? I'll probably do another guess the horsepower because I have no idea really what it's going to make. The cam isn't too wild because this is a street engine, but the heads do flow about 250 CFM at lift. The tubes and the ports probably don't help much, but we will see. And I have the lobes chosen to snap that intake valve open and give us enough exhaust duration to scavenge that intake port, which is what we need. All right, let's see. What do we need to do here? Need to tighten our studs down a little bit more. Got some carburetor gaskets. Then I'm gonna have to let you pause for a second while I get spacers out of the box. Okay, so we're gonna try to keep this engine looking period correct. So no flashy super suckers or anything, but these 4-hole spacers really match the intake manifold really well. And it may not even want carb spacers, but we'll find out on the dyno. Here, I'm gonna get you up higher so you can see what's going on. These are 600s done by Drew Plejednik in Georgia. Drew does a lot of my restoration style carburetor work. Does an excellent job. Very conscious about what he does and the quality of the stuff he puts out. These things look brand spanking new. All right, I'm gonna leave you right here. We're gonna put our balance tube on. I'm gonna get these nuts tightened up. And then we have a new small block forward linkage. So the front carburetor, on a small block, the linkage is on that side. On an FE, the linkage is on this side. But this is progressive. Work off the front carburetor and then progressive on the second carburetor. We're in business. Valve covers are on. I had to stack some gaskets to clear our rocker arms. These valve covers have some big baffles underneath of them, but if you won't tell, I won't. This is an awfully nice looking engine. I'm really pleased with how it's coming out. I'm gonna put the plug wires on next. And I gotta find something to plug this hole. The normal PCV plate, cover plate that goes on an FE, that goes on the back of the intake, the bolt pattern is not the same. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do there. May be able to slot the hole in the plate. This is an odd size for a cup plug. I thought about doing that, so I'm gonna have to give that some consideration, but I've got about 2 weeks before the dyno, so I've got some time to snag it. But here we are, guys. I'm gonna get the plug wires on and then I'll get back with you. All right, with the exception of this plug, which I think I got a lead on right now, we are done. What a nice looking engine. If you haven't subscribed yet, you might want to do that because in about 2 weeks, we'll be spinning this one on the dyno. See what she does. And I think I'll probably do a separate video on guess the horsepower. Appreciate you guys watching and following this build. I forgot to put my loom spacer on. We'll get that on there. But thank you all for watching and all your comments and all your views. Appreciate you all very much. Y'all have a good weekend.